Greetings. Welcome to the 29th Miami Jewish Film Festival, the largest Jewish film festival in the world. We want to thank all our members, sponsors, community partners, volunteers, film lovers, the Center for the Advancement of Jewish Education, along with Rabbi Efrat Zohar, Dr. Bella Tendler Krieger, and Douglas Gavilan, and the Greater Miami Jewish Federation. My name is Aryeh Rubin, and I am happy to be moderating this virtual conversation with director Andrzej Titkow. We will be discussing the film I Will Never Return to Brest, a documentary on the life of Menachem Begin, the former Prime Minister of Israel. Full disclosure, I'm delving into this with a very positive bias. I actually met Menachem Begin in Jerusalem some 45 years ago. I found it to be intense, likable, and ever the gentle him, and consider him the most effective prime minister in Israel's history. He has started a revolution that changed the country forever. Let us begin. First, a little bit about Mr. Titkow. He is a well-known director and producer in his native Poland. He has directed over 80 documentaries, has directed a made-for-TV movie and series, and a feature film, period. Mr. Titkow, please tell us something about yourself, where and when you were born, where you've lived, and how you got into filmmaking.
So, I was born in Warsaw, Poland. My father was pre-war communist. He held important part in government posts. My mother was a radio journalist. I had also a younger sister and grandparents from my father's side, and it was all our family. As a teenager, I was interested in, art, literature, film, cinema, and theater. So I decided to study in the famous Łódź Film School. And as you said, I made more than 80 documentaries and some feature films for TV and so on and so on. Something more about the family. In March 1968, while I still be a student, an anti-Semitic campaign began in Poland. Campaign organized by ruling Communist Party. This campaign started even a bit earlier, in 1967, when Israel won the Six-Day War. Then many Poles of Jewish descent enjoyed the victory, but I must say that quite a few Poles were also happy that our Jews defeated their Russian Arabs. This anti-Semitic element wasn't only one in this campaign, because the aim of this campaign was also to pacify the students' revolt, which took place at the time, and to pacify, let's say, all other liberal aspects in Polish social and political life. March 1968, it was a turning point in my life, and I think that it was also, let's say, formative time for all our generation. A few of my close friends went to prison, and many of them eventually left Poland and emigrated to Israel or was.
A lot of people went to Denmark, correct, at the time?
Yes, well, to West European countries, not only to Denmark, to Sweden, and so on and so on.
And did any members of your family leave at that time? Leave
No,
Poland?
no. Let me continue because I said it was a turning point, because also my political views then evolved and became radically anti-communist, and still are there. And even though I didn't participate in this protest, because I wasn't interested in politics at all those time, I encountered serious problems, and I was suspended from my studies. It wasn't about me at all. It was about my father, who he was then dismissed from these prestigious positions, and he lost all his function. My father wasn't Jew. He was a Christian, but probably the point is that he was a little bit more liberal than his party comrades. And this is very important, that only then, in 1968, when I was completely adult, my mother, let's say, officially informed me about our Jewish roots, about our Jewish origin.
Until then, you didn't know you were Jewish?
Well, I think, but I wasn't sure, because nobody told it to me, It's just, you must understand that my English is not perfect. It's not my native language, so it's very difficult sometimes to explain it. But if you want, I can tell you now about this Jewish roots, because I knew it then in 1968. My mother was Christian from the birth. Their parents converted to Christianity in young age. Then her mother died very young. Father was a doctor, well-known doctor. Her grandmother, she was pro-independence activist. She was a poet. She was a translator and so on. Very educated woman. And
let me interrupt here,
yeah,
because we have a lot to go on. Mr. Titkow also produced a film called Family Album,
yes,
which details a fascinating story about his family, their activism in the late 1800s. They were both active in secular philanthropic activities and as activists in some Jewish activities as well. So let us continue, and we'll come back to this, unless there's a point that you'd like to make here. I think the audience will give them, will ask Douglas to give them the link so that they can see that movie subsequently. I understand it's available on YouTube, which will give the detailed purpose. I think we want to move on to get to the film. Before we go on, is there any filmmaker that inspired you the most in your own development of your career? Well, I mean, was there one particular filmmaker that inspired you?
I can say one. When I was studying in film school, it was time of all these new waves in cinema. And I was fascinated by this, French Nouvelle Vague, then British New Wave and Czechoslovak New Wave and so on. I loved such directors, European directors as Fellini, Buñuel. Buñuel, I think he was my guru in filmmaking. Luis Buñuel. And I was also very interested in Polish cinema. Such the directors as Andrzej Wajda, Andrzej Munk, Has. One of my favorite film directors, Milos Forman, who is, Czech and American.
And he had a number of very prominent films in the United States. A question that while you were developing your career, was the community aware of your Jewish descent?
Could you repeat?
Did your colleagues know that your grandparents were Jewish? Did they know that you were of Jewish descent?
Well, I don't know. I never, me myself, I never have trauma about my Jewish roots, because it was like this, that my name is Russian, so I was rather I've been seen as a Russian more than Jew,
Nice. That in itself has its own share of problems in Poland.
Because my father is Russian origin.
Okay, so let me rephrase the question. As a person of Jewish descent who was born right after World War II, lived through the communist period, went through the 1968 discrimination against the Jewish community, where your father lost his job, even though he wasn't Jewish, but because of his liver. All of this, I assume, had an effect on your development. Does this cause you to have a particular interest in Israel? And did your Jewish ancestry have any effect on how you approach the film, I Will Never Return to Brest?
Well, I mentioned that in 1968, I didn't think about emigration. It wasn't in my mind, but I was always interested in Jewish subjects, even if when I didn't know nothing about I didn't know nothing officially, because I feel some kind of I feel that it could be like this, that I am Jewish, but I wasn't sure because nobody informed me. I was really interested. So I had read a lot of books of Jewish or Israeli writers. I have read about Jewish life in Poland, a lot of, and about Holocaust. There was subjects which interested me very, very much. But really, after my mother's death, my interest about this subject more and more, because and then I made this film family album, which is about main protagonist is Franciszka Einstein, this my great grandmother. But there's also not only about her, it's about family of my mother. And I think that over past few years, I have analyzed this subject deeply. And I am fascinated by the traces of this lost Jewish world. And this human stories, tragic stories, let me also to discover my own roots and to reflect upon hundreds of years of Polish Jewish tradition, which to some extent has been erased from Polish history.
So did you do any other films of a Jewish subject other than your family album, which had some Jewish theme in it? Of the 80 documentaries, was there any other film that dealt with a Jewish subject?
Yes, I made a lot documentaries about this subject, and among them, I made a documentary about famous Polish writer Hanna Kral. I made a documentary about Julian Stryjkowski, well-known Polish Jewish writer. Then about Antoni Słonimski, who was a poet. And I made also about intellectuals, about quite normal people as well.
I see. When did you learn about the man Menachem Begin? I mean, way before, I assume that you heard of him before you did the film. When did you learn about Menachem Begin?
I already said that I was really interested in these Jewish subjects, also in the history of Israel. And I was fascinated by a few Israeli political leaders, especially those whose fate was connected with Poland, such as Golda Meir, Ben-Gurion, and of course Menachem Begin. And I have read his book, White Nights, which is completely fantastic. This is a book about his short but very important Soviet period in his life. Yeah,
in the Gulag.
Yeah, Gulag, and earlier even this prison in Lukishki in Vilna. Fantastic book, which is a lot of observation about Russian spirit, Russian way of thinking. Very, I mean, it's even we can today to take something. It's very yes. It's you can see the same Russia with now today. There's the same Russia is in his book.
I'm familiar. My father was in Siberia. As you know, I mentioned to you, my father was born in Warsaw, and his family, many of them died in the Holocaust, and they escaped to Siberia. So after 80 documentaries that you've done about Jewish subjects, non-Jewish subjects, feature films, and an illustrious career in Poland, what inspired you to do a film about Menachem Begin, the Prime Minister of Israel?
Well, because I said from these people I mentioned, he was particularly close to my heart because he is from here. He graduated University of Warsaw. He was, in my opinion, a Pole. And this man interested me. And after the change of the government here in Poland in the autumn of 2023, an opportunity to collaborate with Polish national television appeared, and I told them that I want to create a biopic about Menachem Begin, and they agreed. And this film is very important for me, very important. I would like to show this man as not as a character from the front pages of newspaper, but as a man of flesh and blood. And of course, it's a first documentary about him made here in Poland. And it was the shooting of this film was also journey through time and through world. It was very interesting for me. But can I say something about some shooting of the film?
Oh, we'd like to hear. Well, okay, go ahead. And then I have another question on this.
Okay. The film was shot, in Israel, in Poland, in Lithuania, and in Belarus. And Belarus, as we know, is an authoritarian country. And we were not allowed to enter the country even. So materials needed to my film were produced by a local filmmaker according to my strict instructions. In Israel, we had shot during a difficult time while violent anti-government protests took place.
That was you talking about the judicial reform demonstrations that were taking place in Tel Aviv.
Yeah. And there was the time that we cannot fly to Israel from here. And the moment it was open, we came. It was autumn of year before. And well, while shooting, I met famous historians. Anita Shapira, who also was born in Warsaw. Then Menachem Begin biographer Avi Shilon, which is very
It's considered the best biography in
Yeah.
taking place, and he lets you know what's the historical moments taking place while he describes Bacon. It's an excellent biography.
Yeah, it was wonderful cooperation with them, and I loved this Avi, and he saw the film and he said it's very good, and I was very happy that he said so. Then I met close friends and collaborators, Menachem Begin, Menachem's Begin, Mr. Aryeh Naor and Dan Meridor. And those people so close to Begin, that their participation added some personal touch to the film. And so
Well, in your research, were there any moments that surprised you or changed your understanding of him as a man or politician? Did you learn something in the research?
Of course. Yes, I learned a lot because, it was, I said that I wanted to show him as a man of flesh and blood, but I didn't know him like a man of flesh and blood. I knew him as a man from the front pages of newspapers, and making the film, I knew him better and better, and everything was for me. I loved before I start to shoot. I make a documentation. I made great documentation, going to archives, finding here in Poland archival film materials, and then in Israel also. And when he is speaking after he was awarded by a Nobel Prize, his speech was fascinating for me. I didn't hear it before. Yeah, his speech were in Camp David when he is signing this treaty.
Camp David Accords.
I didn't know nothing about her Alla, her wife, his wife, sorry, and this love story between them. It was so touching for me, Then this I didn't know, of course. He resigned from this prime minister post, and he had no property at all, and was for me it was completely shocked. I was shocked by it. So
he was the politician in the purest form, and he was clean. No,
yeah.
It's a story told in my family, who knew him, that when he came prime minister, a man came over to him and brought him a few suits. He says, as a prime minister, you need some new suits. He says, no, I will not take anything. I will manage on my own, as he did.
Yeah.
The title, I Will Return to Brest, is an austere title. It's a hard title. Brest, for our viewers who may know the name in Yiddish, is this brisk. Menachem Begin probably referred to this town as brisk in his daily speech. Also, it's famous for for our Jewish audience, the Brisker method, a particular way of learning the Talmud, the Soloveitchiks. It's the Brisker method. What did the Brisk or Brest represent to Menachem Begin? Not only was it his birthdays, his hometown, but what does it represent as a symbol of the Holocaust that took so much away from him? He lost his parents and friends, and so it represented also so much to the Jewish people. Can you expand what Brest meant in the global sense to him and to the Jewish people?
Well, I'm not a politician, I'm not a historian. Well, what I think, of course, the place we are born is very important in our life. I never been to Brest, I never been there. Anyway, he, in my opinion, he became an activist in Brest, in Brisk. He started this Zionist activity there. His political guru, Jabotinsky, visited him in Brest frequently even. And this town is still in his heart when he's studying in Warsaw. We can see it. Then, of course, all his family, you mentioned that all the family who stayed in Poland was killed in Holocaust. And I think he, all the time, he knew it and he remembered it to the end of his life. And for me, the title I found in his text, which is, "I will never return to Brisk." He's writing it in 50s, It was evident that that he won't come back. He will not come back.
But that represented to him and to the Jewish world, it was symbolic of what happened to Jews of all over Europe. And many of our contemporaries' parents never returned to Poland either. So it's understandable. I think we're reaching our time, Lynn. I'd like to squeeze in two more questions. And I know you're not a politician, but what you know about Prime Minister Begin. If Begin were Prime Minister today, based on what you know of him, and now that the hostages have been released, and Hamas refuses to put down his arms, do you have any insight on his background? What do you think his reaction would be today? I'm asking you to go out on a limb.
To be honest, I can say only, I don't know. I don't know. My life, my work is to make films.
Okay.
I don't know how to. It's, you know, it's so complicated. I think I don't know how long how many you will take from this. Probably 3-5 minutes. Yes.
So see if you can do it in a minute, because we have one final question and one question before that. Well, maybe by answering the next question, we'll include that. Begin was labeled a terrorist by the British for his activities in the underground. He managed to hide from them through the War of Independence. And 3.5 decades later, 35 years later, he wins the Nobel Peace Prize for reaching a peace agreement with Egypt at the Camp David Accords. In your research about Begin, making this film, can you explain to our viewers, particularly the Jewish viewers who may have some mixed feelings about him, how you understand the contradiction? A man who is considered a terrorist and a man who wins the Nobel Peace Prize.
Okay.
And from this, we'll extrapolate.
In my opinion, there's no contradiction. In this his book Revolt, I didn't mention already, but I have read also. This is a political book. This is a book about fighting against British, against Arabs, and so on. In this book, he wrote, "We were not terrorists. We just we were fighting for freedom. We were fighting for our own country." And he was man. He was really a hero. He was a very brave man, and during this time, then he was a very successful politician and also a very modest one. And then when he was a prime minister, he fought for peace. There's no contradiction. Okay. For me, it's a hero. It's a man of freedom.
To many people, whether fairly or unfairly, Prime Minister Begin was considered the first Jewish prime minister of Israel. That's not to say that the other prime ministers, Ben-Gurion, Golda, Rabin, they were mostly from the secular camp. The Prime Minister Begin had a lot of Jewish pride. He brought with him his history from Poland. When he went to the White House, he insisted on kosher. He insisted on walking to the commemoration for the Camp David Accords. So he was a unique man, and many people think he changed Israel forever. This is the final question. What do you hope your audience, and particularly your Jewish audience, both those who adore Begin and those who oppose him, take away from this film about his leadership, his memory, and the price of survival? You spent a lot of time studying him. What should we take away from the film? What are you hoping that we take away from the film?
That thing, it's too detailed question.
We have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Look, I don't remember the name. The man said the medium is the message. Medium is the message. So what I wanted to tell about Begin, there's everything is my film. I don't want to explain it. And first of all, I made it film not for American audience. I made it for Polish audience, which knows probably nothing about Menachem Begin, or very little. And but I think it's completely universal. So the message is the same to Polish audience, to American audience, to French audience. Most important for me, it was to show a man, what I say, of flesh and blood. If I succeed, it's okay. If not,
Well, I enjoyed your film. I'm sure the audience enjoyed your film. And we got particularly the interview with Dan Shilon and with Avi Shilon and with Dan Merida was very revealing. Anyhow, I think we have to end this now because we're over our time on it. A big thank you
thank you very much.
to
Really.
Mr. Andrzej Titkow, the director of the documentary. And also a big thank you to the sponsors, the Center for the Advancement of Jewish Education, along with the Greater Miami Jewish Federation. And thank you to all your viewers of the 29th Annual Miami Jewish Film Festival. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you very much.